Okay, so if you're interested in the subject of economics or you have studied the subject of economics, you might have come across these terms. So what we'll today be talking about is demand and supply, and we'll be taking a basic introduction to the market forces that govern the way in which a market works. So if you have a friend who studies economics, you might have come across these two terms, and today we'll essentially be studying what these terms essentially mean. So in this chapter or in this video, we'll be talking primarily about three terms. So the first term is demand, the second term is supply, and the third term is market. So now first, let's understand what these terms individually mean. When we talk about demand, we essentially say that a buyer wants to buy a commodity to maximize his or her utility. Now, of course, the buyer will buy that commodity in exchange for money. So the buyer essentially loses some amount of money to get that commodity, and that commodity obviously needs to have some utility that satisfies the buyer's needs or requirements or desires. The next term is supply. So by this term, we essentially mean that a seller wants to sell his or her product in exchange for money. So the individual will sell that product and get some amount of money in exchange, and the seller will always try to maximize his or her own profits, and that is the objective of a seller. The third term is the market, which is essentially a group of buyers and sellers of a particular good or service. So when we talk about a market, we essentially refer to a particular good or service. So both the buyer and the seller come together into the market to fulfill their shared interests. So for example, the buyer wants to buy the commodity from the seller in order to maximize his utility, and the seller wants to sell his or her product to the buyer in order to maximize their own profit. So we have already talked about demand in our previous video, and in today's video, we'll be talking about supply. Now, in my previous demand video, I have already talked about certain aspects of demand, such as the distinction between demand and quantity demanded of a good. We have also talked about, or we have defined, the quantity demanded of any good pertaining to any relevant market price that is going on at that point of time. And we have also defined the demand schedule, which is the table that shows the quantity demanded at each price. So those aspects of demand essentially can be transferred, or they can be used in the scenario of supply as well. So I won't be going into the details of the discussion because I have already discussed them in my demand video. If you want, of course, you can check them out in the link that I have given in the description box below. So I'll just kind of give a vague idea, or not a vague idea. We all always have a very clear and crystal clear idea, but I'll just brush on lightly over the topic. So the first thing that we'll be discussing is the distinction between supply and quantity supplied. The concept remains the same. When we talk about supply of a good, we essentially mean a phenomenon. So that refers to the preference pattern which is exhibited by the producer on seller. The only difference is when we were talking about demand, we took into consideration the buyer side or the consumer side. So we were talking about only a half of the entire market. In that case, the concerned economic agent was the buyer or the consumer. And when we are talking about supply, the relevant economic agent is the producer or the seller. So that is one of the biggest distinctions, or the biggest primary difference between supply and demand. When we talk about demand, we are essentially concerned with the buyer side or the consumer side of the market. But when we are talking about supply, we are essentially concerned with the producer or the seller share of the market, or the seller part of the side of the market. So when we are talking about supply, as we know, supply essentially refers to the supply schedule, which essentially gives me the table that shows the quantity supplied at each price. We will be coming to it later, of course, in this slide itself. And on the other hand, quantity supplied is related to the commodity of the good. So when we say this is my supply, I am essentially saying that this is my supply pattern. So as a producer, this is the set, or this is the pattern in which I supply a particular good based on the relevant market price that is going on or that is prevalent in the particular point of time. but the quantity supplied of that good is essentially a commodity, or the commodity that I am supplying given the market price. So that is essentially the same concept that bears when I have demand in my mind and when I have supply in my mind. The next term is the quantity supplied of any good or service, which is essentially the amount that sellers are willing and able to sell given the relevant market price. So again, we have the two terms, willing and able to sell. So you might remember that this willing term was also there when we were talking about demand, and when we were talking about demand, able to sell was written as able to buy. So not all market prices give me the option to buy when I am talking about demand, or sell when I'm talking about supply. So at any particular price, I need to be willing to sell that amount of goods. So I need to earn profit, because I have said that supply is essentially when I am willing to maximize my own profits as a producer or as a seller. So given the market price, I need to be willing to supply or sell that particular commodity. So I need to earn or maximize the relevant profit. Again, I need to be able to sell the given good at a relevant market price. So if the price is very low for me and I do not earn sufficient profit to keep supplying that good, or stay in the market, or I'll probably earn losses if I start selling my good at the relevant market price, then I will not sell the good that I am producing. So I need to be able to sell that good at the relevant market price. So again, willing and able to sell are two very important and relevant terms when I'm talking about the concept of supply. Then again, we'll talk about the supply schedule, which is essentially the table that shows the quantity supplied at each price. The basic concept remains the same as we had in case of demand schedule. So the basic concept remains the same. Now, of course, since we had discussed the concept of demand schedule and quantity demanded of a good in case of demand, we'll do the same in case of supply, and we'll see a very small but very significant change. So what we'll be doing is we'll essentially be looking at what we get if we're talking about supply. So we'll get a supply schedule and a supply curve. So as you can see here, we have got this supply schedule here and the supply curve. We'll look at the supply curve a little later. So let's first look at the supply schedule that we have. So as I've defined before, a supply schedule is a table that shows the quantity supplied at each price. So here I have a column which gives me the price, and I have a column which shows the quantity supplied per month. So let's say I am a supplier of a good, let's say I'm a supplier of a book, and when the price of that book is $15, I supply 5,000 copies of that book per month. So what I see is next month, let's say the price of that book dropped to $12 per piece. So what I find is, as a consumer or as a producer of the book, what I find is $12 is not sufficient for me to earn the income or earn the profit that I expected to. So since it's kind of moving towards a scenario of loss, what I do is I reduce the amount of books that I supply per month. So as my price of the commodity fell from $15 to $12, I reduced the supply of the commodity from 5,000 copies to 4,000 copies. Next month, what happened is the price again dropped to $9, and I used the same logic that I did the previous month, and I said, well, let's drop the supply to 3,000 copies per month. So that goes on till the price drops to rupees, or $3, and by the end of the time period when the price period drops to $3, I find that I'm supplying only 1,000 copies of the book every month. So what you see here is, it's essentially the opposite pattern that we found in demand. So in case of demand, what we had is, if the price fell, the quantity demanded kept on increasing, and vice versa essentially. So when the price increased, the quantity demanded decreased. So there was an inverse relationship that we found out when we're talking about demand. But when we are talking about supply here, as you notice, the price keeps on falling one after the other, and going with the same pattern, the quantity supplied of that particular good keeps on falling. So what we find is essentially a positive relationship. So that is one of the biggest differences, or in fact, it is a very critical and a very important and significant difference between supply and demand. So in case of demand, we have negative relationship. So what we say is demand is essentially exhibiting a negative relationship between price and quantity demanded. On the other hand, supply exhibits a positive relationship between price and quantity supplied. So when the price of a good falls, the quantity demanded rises, or when the price of a good rises, the quantity demanded of that good falls. But when we are talking about supply, when the price of a good increases, the quantity supplied of that good increases. Or when the price of a good falls, the quantity supplied of a good essentially falls. So that is what I mean when I talk about a positive relationship between price and quantity supplied. Now let's look at the tabular representation, or rather the geometric or the graphical representation of this tabular representation of the supply schedule. So we can start from this point, or we can start from this point. So if we start from this point, we are essentially starting from the bottommost row. Essentially, there's no order as such. If you start looking from this direction, you can see that the prices increase result in an increase in quantity supplied. Or if you start from the top of the table, you find that with the fall in price, the quantity supplied falls as a result. So you can start from any which direction you want. So let's just start from the bottom direction. So what I do is I note the point that at a price point of $3, the quantity supplied per month is 1,000 pieces. So here I have plotted 1, 2, 3 in thousands. So I plot on the horizontal axis the quantity supplied in thousands. So this essentially refers to 1,000, this refers to 2,000, this refers to 3,000, so on and so forth. And on this direction, I plot price. So this is $15, this is $12, this is $9, so on and so forth. So I start from the bottom portion. So this is the direction that I start in, and I move upwards along the table. So at a price point of $3 per piece, I supply a quantity of 1,000 pieces per month. So that is what I have plotted here. At a price point of 3, I am supplying, so this is the quantity supplied, I am supplying 1,000 pieces. When I move up, I find out that at a price point of $6 of each piece, I am supplying a quantity of 2,000 pieces per month. So again, as I move up along this direction, so the price rises in this direction, or the quantity rises in this direction. If I increase the price point from $3 to $6, I find that my quantity supplied has risen from 1,000 pieces to 2,000 pieces. So at this $6 point, I plot 2,000 on the horizontal axis, and I get this point. Similarly, at price point of $9, I supply 3,000 pieces. So at a price point of $9, I supply 3,000 pieces. Going in this way, I can find out the relationship between price point of $12 and 4,000 pieces, and similarly I have a $15 and 5,000 pieces quantity supply per month. So this essentially gives me a relationship between the price points that are available in the market and the quantity that I supply per month based on this particular pattern that I exhibit. So this is essentially what I mean when I say a supply curve or a supply schedule.